Then Yahweh said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, because he indeed is flesh. Nevertheless, his days shall be 120 years. Now, let me explain what that means. God is saying, I'm going to wipe out all flesh in 120 years from now. 120 days, meaning year. Why? How do I know he's talking about destroying flesh? Because the context is the flood. He tells Noah, I'm going to flood the earth. Now, if you do your math, when God says this, he says they only have 120 years. Then he singles out Noah, sets apart Noah, singles out Noah, sets apart Noah. And when Noah starts building the ark, he's 500 years old. Read Genesis 5, 6, Genesis 5 all the way to 9. When he finishes building the ark, he's 600 years old. That's what the 120 years mean. It's not talking about lifespan. That's not what it's talking about. It's saying, I'm going to give man 120 years before I wipe them out. And if you do the math, 120 years later, he destroys them by flood. Noah begins building when he's 500. He enters the ark when he's 600 years old. That's what it means. But I want you to catch the connection with the Spirit. Everyone with me? I want you to catch the connection with the Spirit. Note, if God's Spirit doesn't strive with man, man cannot exist. You need the Spirit of God to oversee man, sustain man, preserve man, guide man, because once the Spirit is taken, man dies. See that ascending? Everyone see that? Note again the connection with God's Spirit and life. No Spirit, you are flesh, you die. The Holy Spirit, then you live. So he's saying, when I bring the flood on the earth, the Spirit will not sustain flesh bodies. They will die. Now, let me prove to you, animals have souls, and they have the Holy Spirit sustaining them. You want proof? So your dogs have souls. Don't let them lie to you. Oh, wait, you're going to have fun. Genesis 6:17. As for me, behold, I'm bringing the flood water. Do you now see it, my friend? The context of 6 is flood. I'm going to destroy them in 120 years upon the earth to destroy all. Now watch here. Get ready to be shocked. Flesh. Did he only destroy humans or animals and birds? Which is the breath of life. Uh-oh, Tovia. Your own Tanakh, Torah says, even the animals and birds have breath of life. From under heaven, everything that is on the earth shall breathe its last. So why did he lie to you and say, dogs or else don't have souls? Wait, I'm going to make it worse for him. Genesis 7:15. So they came to Noah and to the ark by twos of all flesh, and which was the breath of life. Well, can it be any clearer? The ones that came in pairs were animals and birds, and they're the ones who had breath of life. Same breath of life that was breathed into Adam. Why did he lie to you? Okay, now watch. Genesis 7:22. This one is a beaut. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the Spirit of life, of all that was on the dry land, died. Wow! Here it is spelled out. Every animal and bird and man, they were given breath by the Spirit who gives life. The Spirit of life means the Spirit who is life, who gives you your breath, who gives animals their breath. It's right there. Really? You mean my Bible teaches animals have souls? Yes. They're animated by the Spirit? Yes. The Spirit animates them? Yes. Bi'apo chayim ruach nishmat. Nishmat, breath, ruach chayim. The breath of the Spirit of life in its nostrils. Wait. Did God blow the breath of life in the nostrils of Adam? Yeah. why then it says that even the animals had the breath of life in their nostrils? See that? Well, brother, why do you think you shed the blood? God says the soul is in the blood. When you shed the blood of an animal, the soul leaves the body. So when the soul is gone, it's a lifeless carcass. And therefore, you're not eating the soul of the animal. Do you understand how the logic? The blood, right, is connected with the soul. The soul is connected with the blood. That when you shed the blood of an animal, drain its blood, the soul leaves. That's Leviticus 17:11. Yes, Camley, I've done sessions on this. So the soul leaves, so it's no longer a living being. It's a dead, lifeless carcass. That's why you can't eat it with its blood. Right? Everyone with me there? Breath, ruach, chayim, spirit of life. The breath of the spirit of life, the one who gives you life, because God sends a spirit. Now notice the animals and their nostrils, right? Now let's see about man. Watch here. Let's see man. I just explained the spirit is God's breath. Job 33:4 says, how do I connect it? So I don't know if the guy was a troll. Watch here. Okay, watch here. Bi'apo, what? Nostrils. Nishmat chayim, breath of life. There it is. Same. And man became what? La nephesh chaya. Remember these words. What did Adam become? Nephesh, la nephesh, a nephesh chaya. Remember these words. And God blew, breathed, ya yippa, bi'apo, his nostrils, apo, nishmat, breath, chayim, breath of life. Okay. Now let's compare it here. Let's go systematically. Everything that had nishmat, ruach, chayim, bi'apo, in its nostrils. All right, let's go to Genesis 7:15. Okay? Genesis 7:15. Okay. All right. There you go. All flesh in which ruach chayim, spirit of life. Ruach chayim. All right, now let's go to Genesis 6:17. Let me make the case animals have souls. Birds have souls. Behold, bringing the flood of waters on the earth to destroy all flesh that has in it what? Ruach chayim, the spirit of life. The spirit that gives life. The spirit that animates them. The breath from the spirit of life in their nostrils. That breath that the spirit of life put in their nostrils to make them living souls. All right. Still don't believe me? All right. Then Yahweh God, Genesis 7, formed man of dust from the ground, breathed into his nostrils breath of life, and so the man became a living being. It's literally a living soul. Nephesh, chaya, soul that lives. But I want you to see what God says about the animals and the birds. Same chapter, Genesis 2:19. Same chapter, guys. Oh my goodness. But your translations confuse the heck out of you. Out of the ground, Yahweh God had formed every beast. Notice, beasts of the field, every bird of the sky, brought each to the man to see what he would call it. And whatever the man called a living creature, see, this is where you don't make the connection. You know what the word is, guys? Nephesh chaya, same word. God just called every beast and bird nephesh chaya, a living soul. But you don't see it because the translation. But I'm going to show you in the Hebrew in a minute. And the man gave names to all the cattle, to the birds of the sky, to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helper suitable for him. Now, here, let me show you again. And I'll show you the Hebrew in a minute, but watch here. The word nephesh chaya means living soul. Okay, watch here. So, see? Became a living soul. Man became a nephesh chaya, soul that lives. Living soul. Living soul. Living soul. See that? Living soul. What about Genesis 19? The birds, the animals, the beasts. It says living creature, right? Now watch here. Each living soul, every living soul, Wycliffe, every living soul, same words, animals, beasts, men are nephesh chaya. We are all a living soul. Now, let me show you the Hebrew. Yes, dogs have souls, guys. Yes, animal. Don't you see it? No two dogs are the same, and they have their own personalities. They have some level of intelligence. That's why they can understand. If you have a Chinese with a dog, he understands Chinese and the commands. And they don't want to die, and they're heartbroken if their master dies. What do you think that is? That's the soul produced by the Holy Spirit. Here, you may not believe me. Let's see what the word is for soul. I showed it to you, but again, la nephesh chaya. Let's see what it says about the animals and the birds. Nephesh chaya. Here you go. Look, what's the word? Nephesh chaya. Same words, guys. Same chapter, same words. Nephesh chaya. See it? You see that word, nephesh? Right here, Genesis 1:20, Genesis 1:21. Even in Genesis 1:20, 21, and 24, there it uses the word nephesh chaya for the beasts and for the birds. See right there? It's right there. It tells you. See? And there was evening and it was morning, fourth day. And then God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the face of the expanse of heavens. Living creatures, huh? Okay. And God created the great sea monsters and every living creature, remember these words, living creature that moves, with which the waters swarmed after their kind, every winged bird after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Now watch here. Then God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, cattle and creeping things and beasts of the earth after their kind. And it was so. So notice 20, marine life, birds, living creatures. Okay. 21, living creature. The beast, animals of the dust, living creatures. Creeping things, living creature. Now let's see what the word is, okay? It's not done yet. Watch here. Living souls. Nephesh chaya. Did you see that even the marine life are living souls? Black and white. Same words used of Adam. So if the Holy Spirit is the one who animates creatures, making them living souls, gives them souls, what does that tell you about the Spirit's role in creating and sustaining all forms of life? Marine life, animal life, the fowls of the air. Okay? But wait, I don't think you're convinced. Let's go to Genesis 1:21. Every nephesh ha-chaya that's crawling, even crawling things, souls. How about Genesis 1:24? Because I know you guys are still skeptical. God said, let bring forth the earth, haaretz, nephesh chaya. Animals, beasts, and things that crawl. Nephesh chaya. Same words used of Adam. That should now encourage you. Your animals have souls, have spirits. Let me show you another one. Now, this is Solomon writing about human observation, human experience, wisdom gathered from human phenomenon and observation, apart from revelation. So he's telling you there's so much you can learn apart from revelation. And you can't answer the big questions of life. What do I mean? Okay. He's going to ask a question. When animals die and humans die, where do their spirit go? acknowledging that animals like humans have spirit. But the question is, where do their spirits go? Where does the spirit of man go? Where does the spirit of the beast go? He doesn't know the answer unless God reveals it. Here it is. Now I'm going to show you again receipts. Ecclesiastes 3:19-21. I don't know, man, if they all go to heaven or not, man. I don't know. But you can hope that you'll see them there. For the fate of the sons of men and the fate of the beasts is the same fate for each of them, meaning we all return to the dust, right? Dogs die like you. You're no better than a dead dog when you die. As one dies, so dies the other, and they all have the same breath, but it doesn't say breath. They all have the same ruach, spirit. So there is no advantage for man over beast for all his vanity. You understand what he's saying? From a human perspective, apart from revelation, if there is no God, then our observation shows we die, we cease to be. So there are dogs who live better lives than humans. There are dogs who live in mansions and humans live in the street. And then we both die and expire. So what advantage do you have being a human, not a dog? You see what he's trying to show you? The logic? You guys understand the logic? He's saying, if you are a naturalistic, materialistic, agnostic atheist, you don't believe there's a spirit that continues to exist when your body dies, you don't believe in an afterlife, you don't believe in a God, you don't believe in resurrection, what advantage is there being human rather than a dog? In fact, some dogs and cats are better off than humans because dogs and cats get taken care of and fed and live in beautiful homes, whereas you have humans in the streets, humans are being murdered, humans are being violated. Right? You understand what he's saying here? So what advantage do you have? Right? You understand what Solomon is saying? You understand what Solomon is saying here? Can you tell me definitively, apart from God and revelation, where does my soul go and where does the soul of the animal go? Right? Isn't it true that all we see is that we go to the same place, we die and return to the dust? All come from the dust, all return to the dust. Who knows that the breath of man ascends upward and the breath of the beast descends downward to the earth? Can you answer that? That when your spirit leaves, it goes up to God. And when the spirit animal leaves, it goes down. Now, I hate this translation. That's a terrible translation. It doesn't say breath. So let's find a little translation. Okay, watch here. And I'll show you the Hebrew in a minute. All right. Nobody knows for sure that the human spirit rises to heaven or that the animal spirit sinks to the earth. Do you see it? Right? Yes, they all have one breath and spirit. See? They have one spirit. So now let's see what the Hebrew is. It's ruach. It's not nephesh, spirit. See why some translations also confuse you, right? Let's see if it's ruach. There you go. They all have the what? One, echad, ruach. Wa ruach, not nephesh. Ruach, spirit. So why translate it as breath? Because there's some people that don't want to tell you that animals have spirits. Why? Because they're stupid. Because they don't know what it means to be in the image of God. Now, what about 21? Let's go to 21. And I'll show you the Hebrew. That was 3:19, right? Okay. Watch here. Now, Solomon will then later answer the question where man goes. Here you go. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth? It's spirit, guys. Animals, beasts have spirits. You have spirit. Same word. But the question is, what does it do? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, brother. John Burke has a whole playlist of people who saw animals in heaven. And John Burke is not a fake. He's not a quack. Yeah, I'll show you that video. The question is, okay, How do we know what happens to the spirit of animals when they die? Well, we don't know unless God tells us. How do we know the spirit of a man, where it goes when it dies? Well, we don't know if God doesn't tell us. Now, what is sad for animal lovers, God tells Solomon at the end of the book, the last chapter, he sums it up. God then tells him, the spirit of man goes back to God who created it, whereas our dust returns to the earth. But he never answered the question for the spirit of animals. You know why? The focus of the Bible is not on animals and the afterlife. The focus is you. So don't let people read too much in the Bible. No, animals don't. You don't know that. Shut up. Ecclesiastes 12 is the conclusion. And he says, look, what's the conclusion of my research? What's the conclusion? Yes, ruach and nephesh, because nephesh can sometimes means your breath, what you're breathing, right? Referring to your breath, right? Nishmat, the breath, you know, soul can mean you, your personality. It can mean that which animates your body. It can refer to your breath, right? Your breath departs, your soul, anyway. It can have a range of meaning. Ruach as well, but that doesn't mean we consist of soul and spirit. I don't know. There's a debate. Is soul simply another way of saying spirit? Is spirit another way of saying soul? Or is there a differentiation between spirit and soul? Christians have debated that, and I can't answer the question. That's why I won't open. I don't know the answer. But when you say soul, some people say, see, they have souls, they don't have spirits. That's why I'm making it clear. No, it says they have souls, they have spirits. You see why I'm making it clear? Yeah, animals have souls, they don't have spirits. No, they have spirit as well. Now here is where God tells Solomon where the spirit of a man goes when his dust returns to the earth, his body. Right here. And returns the dust to the earth as it was, and the spirit, waharuach, returns to God who gave it. Now he answers that question. He doesn't answer the other question. So did I establish for every one of you? Animals, birds, creeping things, marine life, are living souls. They are souls and have souls and they are spirits. Did you get the receipts?